Wait till that car turns sideways. You'll hear the revs pick up, the butterflies, the intensity.
Riders rocket into turn one of these 450cc bikes. Brock Tinkle has the whole shot on the Soaring Eagle Jimmy John Suzuki. Good start to the KTMs, the 10 of Justin Brayton, and the 25 of Marvin Musquin. A little bit further back is Roczen, and Tomac is right in front of Roczen right now on the green number 3.
Oh, this is a great start. We got a lot of the heavy hitters up front. Look at this. Tomac said he had to be in front of Roczen. He gets around him early. That is huge because these guys are in a massive, intense battle right now, especially when it comes to speed.
Roczen got him. Roczen got him. They're about 5th and 6th, but he did make the pass on his rival Tomac as Tinkle on the 20 tries to get away. Brayton and Musquin right with him, and they're all scrambling to figure out where is the traction. And how about Roczen leaping around Cole Seeley, who's on the number 14. Ken Roczen already up to 4th place.
Roczen's ability to slice through the traffic on the opening laps is amazing. His anticipation of where to go, where not to go. Look at him. He goes to the outside, leads him with an option. Do I cut up the inside or just do that? Try to go the long way around. Watch. Now he'll square it, come across to the other side of the track. His favorite line down the right-hand side. Still gains time even after a little mistake coming out of that corner.
Yeah, swapping from one side of the track to the other and still making up ground on the number 10 of Brayton. There is Tinkle. What happened to Marvin Musquin on the 25? He got zapped in a hurry, and he's been shoved back to about 6th place.
Yeah, we've seen this in both the opening motos from both classes. Guys just getting shuffled back. I think maybe a little cautious. Tomac tried to get around the outside of Seeley where he got him in the first moto. Tomac had said, I let Roczen by, and I think that was the biggest mistake early in the race because I was behind him, and it was just an uphill battle trying to stay with him from there on. Once again, Roczen was just ahead. Tomac did get by, and Roczen right back at him. And look at him, goes after Brayton around the outside.
And he's got him. Nicely done. A race past that Fram Mechanics area, now uphill, and Roczen has taken 2nd place away. And this is desperate time if you're Brayton to the 10, Seeley on the 14, or that green number 3, Monster Energy Kawasaki of Tomac. You can't let Roczen pull away early in this race.
No, you cannot. Eli Tomac is probably the closest as far as matching speed with Roczen, but look at Roczen. He sliced through the pack and he pulled away 3 roughly seconds just from that exact same point the lap before, only because he's getting through traffic better.
All right, Tomac working on the 14. Seeley, who's on that red factory Honda Racing ride.
How about this for RCH though? 1 and 2 as we see
riders in the pits already. That's Alex Ray, privateer on Husqvarna. Must have run into maybe someone in that first turn where things always bottleneck. So Brock Tinkle, who was 3rd fastest in qualifying earlier today, always seems to do well on these rough and rutted tracks. Originally from North Carolina, so he's raced here before. Oh, Tomac making moves.
Tomac coming 2 riders while he was out of shot. So he saw that number 94 yellow Suzuki of Ken Roczen starting to disappear. And he, well, there's no other way to put it. Put the hammer down now.
Let's send it to Georgia down trackside. Talk about the recovery in between motos on a rough day like this.
Andrew Short was wearing this ice jacket. It's filled with stuff that goes in the freezer. He wears this on the start line to keep his body temperature cooled down. Tell you what, it helps when you're sitting there on the starting line.
Try to keep the body temperature cool as long as possible. They'll bring fans down to the starting line area. They'll use their signboards and use those as fans, but
umbrellas.
Doesn't really matter now. We're just 4 minutes into a 30-minute plus 2-lap race, and they're all sweating already at this point in the moto, I can guarantee it. Roczen making it even hotter as he applies the heat to his teammate Tinkle. They race past the Fram Mechanics area. Roczen going to try to make the pass on the outside. He's got it.
Yeah, Tinkle took a look over. I don't think Brock put up a huge fight. At this point, I think for Brock, the best thing as Ken Roczen's teammate, just try and latch on. Basically, take that lasso and try and, you know, wrap it around him and go with him. Follow his lines, do exactly what he's doing because, well, Roczen's been the fastest man on track all season long.
All right, so this is going to be tough for Tomac. He's going to have to get around Roczen's teammate if he wants 2nd. And while he's battling Tinkle forward, that might allow Roczen to get away. So Tomac digging deep right now. The young man out of Colorado, his dad a legend of American mountain and road cycling. It doesn't get much tougher, the program that the Tomacs have put together as far as physical training is concerned, and he's going to need all of that to try to close the gap on Roczen late here in the race day. We've already had 1 moto complete in Moto 2. Let's see if he can close the gap as you look at your overall event points. Roczen setting sail. Well, he told Georgia he wanted to get a better start in this one and make life a little easier on him. He is so strong in the opening laps. This is where he did so much of his damage. Oh, little mistake. He popped out of the rut.
Yeah. These guys still trying to, you know, get their groove, so to speak. The track has changed. I mean, look, it's dust. This section was sloppy a couple hours ago. Just completely, just a mud bath. Oh, now that these ruts are starting to dry out, they're starting to basically have a rebound effect on the suspension that's upsetting these bikes when they're coming out of the corner while these guys are trying to hammer through the rough stuff.
Pretty bumpy down here in the bottom. Then we jump back up top. Tomac getting close to Tickle, and he can still see Roczen in the distance. That one little mistake from Roczen. Maybe that's some daylight or light at the end of the tunnel for Tomac. But first, he's got to get the 20.
And he's got to do it quick. He can't hesitate. He can't wait. Brock's not going to move over for Eli Tomac. In fact, he's going to ride a wide bike. Tomac, put the hammer down and go for it, bud.
This is, as you like to call, mad dogging it around the outside. He's just going to drop the hammer.
Yeah, you have to sometimes. You're going the long way around the track. Great protective riding by Brock Tickle. No mistakes. Clean and smooth. Probably the best motor we've seen out of Brock Tickle in a very long time. Great to see it. This man's a journeyman. Very likable. Hard worker. Doesn't always get the attention. Let's be honest, he's the number 2 to Ken Roczen on that team. As Tomac goes to the inside now. Has he got it? Woo! Tomac just going wherever the number 20 was not.
And a good job to stick it on the inside and not let Tickle jump back in front of him. So that's going to be second place for Tomac. But the damage is done. He's got 3 seconds to make up on Roczen. July 16th, freestyle motocross, skateboard, and BMX athletes from around the globe will push themselves and action sports in general to a whole new level. It's the Nitro World Games competition live in primetime, Saturday, July 16th on NBC. Your old buddy Travis Pastrana, who you battled with quite a bit in the motocross days, helping to put that together. Now, by the way, you see this building right here? That is a historic landmark in this area, and we've actually have our trophies for today that are modeled after that landmark right down Interstate 81. We're in Blountfield, Tennessee, not far from Bristol, the famous NASCAR track.
Pretty fitting for being in Tennessee. Get the
guitar, yeah. Well, I know you took the tour of Nashville on your way into town on Thursday.
Loved it.
Who's going to get the biggest trophy and the biggest bottle of champagne? Will it be Ken Roczen here in the 94 or his arch nemesis, Eli Tomac? While we're away at break, Tomac, very aggressive, was able to pass the second place rider, Brock Tickle, but he's got work to do. 4 seconds is the gap between Roczen and Tomac. Now, Tomac was able to bridge that gap and catch him in the first moto. Here's how he got second here.
Yeah, Tickle was committed to the outside and then hesitated right there. Tomac did not. He was coming in, took the line away, clean, smart, just going wherever the number 20 wasn't. So Tomac now in a second. So nothing between him and Ken Roczen except a little bit of daylight. So this is going to come down to mental toughness for the next 15, 20 minutes, in my opinion, before the end of the race. Can he start reeling in our leader? We've seen with Roczen, every time you think, oh man, Tomac might have his number now, Roczen able to pull it back out.
Great ride for Tickle here in third place. That's the teammate of Roczen. So the Soaring Eagle, Jimmy John Suzuki's have both podium positions right now with Tomac sandwiched between them. Then it's Cole Seeley fourth, Marvin Muscat fifth, Justin Brayton sixth, Weston Pike, Blake Baggett, Christoph Porcel, and Justin Barsha rounding out your top 10. Here is Seeley in fourth place. California trying to close in on Tickle. And a contrast in styles. Seeley, a West Coast rider, so the heat and humidity, the soft terrain, and the rut's a little different for him. The rider he's trying to catch, Tickle, is from North Carolina. He raced at this track growing up.
Yeah, different walks of life, but, and then you got Marvin Muscat. I mean, he's from France, so that's the thing with this series. You got to deal with a lot of elements, a lot of weather conditions, different tracks, different terrain.
Tickle's best moto finish this year is an 8th, and he's running third right now. Been a slow start to the series for him, but he's running very well. Here's the BTOsports.com KTM of Justin Brayton, a veteran, and he has actually moved to the North Carolina area, originally out of Iowa. So he brings his wife Paige and his daughter Parker to the races today. It's a family affair for a lot of these riders who are based on the East Coast. and get the chance to drive to the races for once. Weston Pike, Californian. This is one of the toughest, most aggressive riders in this sport. A solid 5th in the first moto, 7th right now.
Well, if you see him without his gear and helmet on, he looks like a street fighter more than a motocrosser. Blake Baggett on that number 4 Yoshimura Suzuki, coming back from a shoulder injury. We believe it was a broken collarbone. We heard it was also a torn rotator cuff. So, Georgia, what do you got for us?
I spoke to Blake earlier and I said, you are one tough guy, honestly, because we know he finished a moto, or tried to finish a moto with that broken collarbone. However, he took time off. He is back and riding right now. He said it's sore, but obviously adrenaline, race pace kind of changes things a little bit. But he's really holding up the team because his teammate, number 7, James Stewart, is at home. He did get injured also at Hangtown, but he's also awaiting a baby at home.
Yeah, that's right. James Stewart, former champion of the series, is on the baby watch right now, so not competing this weekend. So Baggett carrying the flag for the Yoshimura Suzuki team on that number 4.
And Baggett had a very solid first moto. I mean, knowing that you've come from surgery, you're behind the 8 ball, so to speak, he put in a great performance, fighting all the way to the end. So we know he wasn't sitting on the couch these last few weeks. He's been a guarantee on that stationary bike quite a bit.
Baggett here on the number 4 told me the shoulder's so bad, when people call him, he cannot lift his cell phone up. He said he's actually laid the cell phone down on the fender of his bike and put it on a speakerphone because he can't even lift his arm over his head. He can just barely get it done here on the motorcycle. 8th in the first moto today, and right now 8th in Moto 2. That is amazing that he's able to do this. And I know in motocross they say, oh, isn't the motorcycle doing all the work? Trust me, these guys' shoulders, arms, legs, knees, they're being stretched and stressed to the max. Next is the Frenchman, Rockstar Husqvarna of Christophe Porcel. That's the white bike here. He was very good in the first moto, led for a little bit, and finished 4th. Not quite the same here in Moto 2.
A lot of it comes back to the start, like we said. When you're up front, it's a lot easier to go from 1st to 4th if you're not quite fast enough. Justin Barsha, someone else that kind of needs a breakthrough ride in 2016. He's shown a little bit of promise here and there, and he's had some starts, but it seems like between mistakes and, yeah, just being off the pace at times. We know the number 51, nicknamed Bam Bam, as you can tell by his riding style, it kind of suits him.
Yeah, he just smashes the track. Not a great start for Barsha here, but he's quickly made up, see, 25 positions to get into that spot, which is 10th. And your starting gate picks, by the way, in these motos are based on your first moto finish. So if you struggle like Barsha did, he didn't finish that one, he has to take an outside gate. That's why he had to make so many passes to even get into the top 10 here. As we go back to Brayton and Pike, battling it out for 6th and 7th.
Brayton also someone that's shown that he can run near the front. Now with a good start, like you said, back on the East Coast, I think where he's comfortable, more familiar, feeling comfortable. He's looking good, but don't look over your shoulder, Justin Brayton, because there's Weston Pike coming. There's probably one guy you don't want to see breathing down your neck. It's got to be the number 28. As he makes a little mistake. That corner has been so tricky. What it is it disappears over that crest, and there's ruts going to the left. Your momentum pulls you to the right, so a very tricky corner.
Track leaning away from you. So Brayton, Pike, Baggett, that's the orange, blue, and yellow machines fighting to try to get inside the top 5. This is our first moto, our GoPro track preview. We're going to show you what it's like to hop on board with Cole Seeley.
This is fun. Listen.
That's what it's like to lead one of these things, too.
It looks great when there's no one in front of you, I promise you. It's like... It's the nicest thing you can ever experience as a motocross racer until that.
That was Phil Nicoletti making the move on Seeley early in our first moto. It's moto number 2 now. These guys are tired, they're hot, they're fighting with everything they've got. Roczen continues to lead the way. He got it up to 5.9 seconds, but now Tomac has closed in. The last time around, got it down to 5 flat. So it could be the case. Tale of 2 motos. Roczen very quick on those opening laps. Tomac starting to feel the flow now, late in Moto 2.
Yeah, if he can find some good lines and kind of pick up that intensity, meaning just eliminate some of the little mistakes that I feel like almost every rider's making out there, if you watch these guys, if you watch carefully, they're trying to take some of the same lines over and over, but look, Seeley overjumped that, kind of rebounded, bounced. That's, I promise you, that actually hurts, especially if you've had ankle or knee surgeries. Another little mistake. So hard to be consistent around this track, because a lot of these corners do have sharp edges, square bumps. Yeah, Seeley might need to just change up some of his lines, because guess who's coming? The number 25, Marvin Musquin, the other crafty Frenchman. And Marvin's done pretty well at this place in the past. I think a track that suits him, maybe got a little hint of that European kind of flavor. Marvin hasn't had the starts, but he's had the pace.
Yeah, so he's got it right now as he continues to close on Seeley. He made a couple of mistakes. We're past the front of mechanics area, and now you can see them together. Seeley on the 14 in that orange, 25 of Musquin. That should be a great race brewing for 4th. But they've got work to do if they want the podium. Tickle is about 8 seconds further up the track. Roczen's lead 5.1, so he and Tomac are absolutely matching times now as we roll into the second half of this moto.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a little bit of that yo-yo effect between these two guys. As and when they each have a good or bad lap, you'll see that gap kind of open up and close a little bit. But I feel like Roczen's got enough in hand that it's going to have to take Tomac to basically just find another gear in the middle of a moto.
Certainly not easy to do, but if anyone's capable of it, it's Tomac. He has put together some blistering performances in this series before. But he's going to need all that fitness that he has, everything in the tank, throw it at Roczen here. Ooh, Roczen jumping into that rut.
That is pretty unique. Oh.
As soon as this race is over, switch over to NBCSN today, 4:30 Eastern. The action continues with our 250 class right here from Muddy Creek in the Tennessee National Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Series on NBCSN. Those falls are only about 15 miles from our track here, so if you want to come out and watch the race next year, then go check that out. Ooh, on Sunday, we got a wide open day for you. Or you can take your motorcycle and come race amateur racing. That's one of the cool things about motocross. You can actually do this, get out on the same track as these guys on the same weekend. And there's a lot of riders that came through the ranks at this track that have worked their way into professional standing now. Here are your overall event points. That's when we combine your first moto with your second. And you see Seeley will end up on the podium 3rd overall. Tomac, 6 points and back of Roczen. If he can pass him in this moto, that'd be 3 more points for Tomac, 3 fewer points for Roczen.
Exactly.
Tomac will get the overall win. So it all comes down to this final moto. Can Tomac in 2nd place catch Ken Roczen? The last 3 laps, they have been almost identical in speed down to the 10th of a second.
And the reason Tomac would get the overall, even though they tie on points, is it's the 2nd moto finish that supersedes Moto 1. Oh, Musquin there. Basically making contact with a lapper, but he's gotten Seeley.
Yep. That's 4th place for Musquin. Hey, we're halfway through this moto, 15 minutes down, 15 minutes to go. 15 minutes, you can save 15% or more on your insurance if you call Geico. Seeley going to try to go back after Musquin. Seeley is clinging to that top 3 overall position on the podium, but if he gets passed again, it could change in a hurry. So Musquin passing him on that Red Bull KTM, that's not going to make Seeley here in the 14 happy. He's got to try to stick with him. The next rider in order would be Weston Pike. See if he can put some pressure on Seeley.
Yeah, Seeley had a great opening moto. I think leading basically half of it. Great confidence booster for him. Another solid 2nd moto. A little bit different with not, being out front for as long as he was, but still, Cole Seeley every weekend now just making what I consider very, little increments, but he keeps moving forward. I think he gets better week by week in outdoors. Dropping back through the pack, you can still see a freight train of riders, a lot of positions to be gained or lost. And we're getting that time of the day, Jason, when the tongue is starting to hang out.
That's not a Michael Jordan trash talk move. That's just fatigue. The mouth is open, they're breathing hard. Weston Pike in 6th, dealing with Blake Baggett, who's right behind him on the yellow number 4. And Justin Barsha is just behind Baggett. You'll see him in some of our longer shots here. So it's a 3-rider duel for 6th, 7th, and 8th. Oh, Baggett's got an inside line on Pike. Got a little sideways.
Well, now you got lap traffic. Pike might get held up a little bit here. He doesn't know where to go. Up the inside. Oh, the lapper gets sandwiched, and Baggett opportunist, goes a long way around. Smart man went where there was some clear real estate. He gets the pass done. Now you got Barsha coming in.
Didn't need much of an opening. Phil Nicoletti, we hear, who led a little bit in the first moto earlier today, is now out of this moto into the Fran Mechanics area. And his teammates, Pike and Barsha, duking it out here in the Auto Trader, Monster Energy, Joe Gibbs Racing, Toyota, Yamahas. Inside line for Pike, able to hold off Barsha, his teammate. And a big mistake on the takeoff of the jump by Pike.
Wow, that could have not been pretty at all. But Pike, a very strong physical rider, pulls that bike back. But you do not want to get cross-rutted on a takeoff of the jump, meaning where one wheel's in one rut and the other wheel's in another rut, because when the suspension rebounds, really deflects, throws you sideways, could throw you on the ground as well.
So Barsha has made the pass. We'll reset it for you. Sealy is back to 5th there after being passed by Musquin. Then comes Baggett, who you just saw in the yellow machine. Then it's Barsha. Then Pike. Purcell and Brayton round out the top 10. So Brayton is the one that's been shuffled back now. Musquin was the one pushed back earlier. Musquin has made a comeback to get into 4th. And we're looking at the overall event points from this one. Tickle, he needs one of these guys to get Sealy, and that will put Tickle onto the overall podium for the day. If they can catch Sealy, that would change our top 3 and who gets to shake champagne at the end of this one. They're not too far back. About 9 seconds they'd have to make up down the stretch, and Baggett's got a ton of pressure. Barsha's coming.
Yeah.
So Barsha did not finish the first moto. He's fresh for this one, trying to close the gap. Battle continues. Tomac has it down to 4.5 seconds now. So he's taken about a second out of that lead of Roczen as we hit the stretch run. See the field coming through. That was Brayton in 10th. Matt Bisceglia coming through in 11th. He has been very solid, filling in for James Stewart on that Yoshimura Suzuki. Cole Martinez, nicely done. He's a fill-in rider on Cycle Trader Rock River Yamaha, filling in for the injured Tommy Hahn. He is in 12th.
Whoa. You see how Roczen has ripped that corner. Feet on the pegs. Once again,
didn't take it off at all. Wow.
That's why I said his balance is quite phenomenal.
Georgia, what are you hearing?
Yes, the number 40 of Kyle Peters, who actually only rode this Husqvarna twice this week. He was running 15th in the Moto. He regularly rides 250s, but he actually just pulled in the mechanics area, took his transponder off, and he's headed back to the pits. But what an awesome ride, running 15th with 2 days on a 450.
Yeah, good job for him. Peter's another local to this track from North Carolina.
Roczen, red background, means he's the points leader. He's also been on fire this season. Tomac is picking it up week by week, getting it closer. Today's been the closest. It's now less than 4 seconds, so he's chipping away. But I think it's going to take a bit more of a mistake from Roczen to really make this interesting. I'm sure he's probably noticed the gap shrinking a little bit, but Roczen can put the hammer down if he needs to, I believe, meaning really just give it everything to try and stretch it out a little more for a lap or two, and then he could get back to his comfortable pace.
Back here at the Red Bull Tennessee National, Ken Roczen, trying to win the championship this year, will not have to go through last year's champ Ryan Dungey. This guy is an all-timer. He leads all active riders in this class in career podiums, moto wins, and overall wins, but he is out. Broke a bone in his back a couple of weeks ago, but for Dungey, a guy who's almost never injured, it's a rare chance to get some rest and relaxation. One of the most durable riders ever was struck down this year, but even in that crash, he still get up and finish that race in 4th place before realizing he was hurt and couldn't race the rest of the year. So it's up to Eli Tomac now to try to dig into the lead that Ken Roczen has. 4.5 seconds. It was 5.5 at one point. So Tomac's not giving up, but we are hitting the waning moments. 4 minutes before the 2 laps to go board comes out. Can the young German continue his run? We say it every moto basically this year. He's won all but one moto this year. And the only one he didn't win was when he had problems with the front suspension of his motorcycle. When everything has been working correctly, he has been undefeated this year. Tomac trying to change that. And look at this, barely dropping off from his fast lap time. This guy's in some sort of physical condition.
Well, he's in great shape. He's also really fast as well, but Eli Tomac is closing each and every week because he, I think, is now pushing Roczen to that next level. Because look at the gap these guys have in the rest of the pack. Half a minute to third behind Tomac.
Absolutely. All right, we'll see who's going to take the win. Roczen trying to finish it off here at Muddy Creek, and Tomac trying to pull the upset.
Getting late in the moto. Roczen, like you said, Jason, lap times have not really dropped. And we know the track is definitely slowing down as it gets rougher. But I think because of the pace that Tomac is pushing, he's pushing Roczen to really keep him on his toes. But Roczen just doesn't really get phased. I mean, I don't see him making those mental errors when someone's closing like most guys tend to do.
It's hard to even figure how hard Roczen is going. Last year when Tomac was dominating early in the year, he's pulling these massive leads. Seems Roczen's plan this year has just been to get it to 5 to 7 seconds, and then you never know if he's trying to stretch it further and just can't, or if he's just maintaining it. Hard to say.
I think in previous rounds, I think he was, you know, just maintaining.
Right.
I think right now this is pretty much being pushed by Tomac, who's coming to that corner, because they are way ahead of everyone else.
Got it under 4 seconds now, so it's about as close as it has been for the last 20 minutes. 3.9 is the gap.
And now with more lap traffic, the track being really rough, blue flags waving, mistakes can become very easy at this point of the moto. It's hot, you're tired, you're mentally spent, you're physically spent, and you've got someone with their eyes locked on you coming after you.
Past Fry Mechanics area now, they'll work their way back uphill. This is where they hook onto the start straight. Every turn Roczen is in, there is a lap rider. They've done a pretty good job of staying out of the racing line that he wants. But now you can see the green fenders of Tomac starting to enter the picture. It's 2.7 seconds. He has taken 2 seconds out of the lead in this last lap alone.
Well, as you look at the clock in the top right-hand corner, just over a minute to go, which means by the time they come around next lap, time would have expired, which means we've got 3 laps to go. Call this a 3-lap shootout with less than 3 seconds separating these two. I think Tomac wants this so bad right now, more than anyone out there.
We're back. It's the Red Bull Tennessee National. Final moments, 3 laps to go. And motocross, one of the most physically demanding sports in the world. You are seeing a full test of fitness here. Ken Roczen in the lead. At one point, his gap was 5 seconds over this man, Eli Tomac. But Tomac has chopped it down to 2.3 seconds. He was 3 seconds quicker than Roczen the last time around. So now with it's about 2.5 laps to go, you can start to see them in the same section of racetrack. Tomac's got his teeth in him.
And this is exactly what Tomac wanted, because right now the adrenaline's through the roof. He is, you know, feeling it. He wants this so bad. Tomac has probably had to answer a lot of questions. What's going on this year? Why haven't you won? Where's the old Eli Tomac? We're starting to see it. We've seen signs of brilliance in the last couple of weeks, but he hasn't put the whole package together. Now, Roczen, this moto, seems to be having more trouble with the lappers. First moto, Tomac hit the lappers at the wrong place, wrong time, almost every time, and this gap is small, and the crowd are on their feet and cheering.
Race past the Fry Mechanics area, now hooking onto the start straight. It'll be 2 to go, and Tomac is right there. And another mistake from Roczen. Tomac continues to close.
That gap is shrinking. 2 laps to go when they get to the finish line. I can hear the fans going ballistic right now. Huge crowd here in Bluntville, Tennessee. Look, 2-lap car, another mistake from Roczen.
Tomac's got an opening. He's down to the inside. Can he make it work? Roczen knows he's there now. He can hear the motorcycle and the fans.
And the air horns.
Tomac again down to the inside. This is a series of left-hand turns, and Tomac has set himself up brilliantly for it. Roczen able to beat him to the spot. Look at Tomac hugging all the way to the inside. Lines almost came together there.
Well, that's what Tomac has to do. He cannot follow Ken Roczen, even though Ken Roczen might take the premier lap. Slight little mistake there from Tomac. Little bit of breathing room.
It's what Roczen has been so good at this year. Tomac has gotten close to him a few times, such as in the first moto earlier today, but Roczen always able to respond. Now this section has been great for Roczen. In the first moto, he was leaping and staying lower over this jump. They were about even this time.
Yeah, obviously Tomac had a look between motos and try to figure out where he was losing time, because he's almost trying to mirror exactly what Roczen is doing in the sections where he is strong. Different line selection there. Oh, these guys are giving it absolutely everything on the limit.
There's a few sections where Tomac just stays with him, and then a few other sections where he takes a different line. That's where he's looking for daylight. Oh, Roczen off the track. Able to recover.
That could have been way worse. Luckily, there was nothing that affected him like a bank or a banner.
Tomac, right there. He's got a wheel on it. To the inside.
Oh, they go past the Fran Mechanics area, and the mechanics are going crazy, waving the towels, getting their riders pumped up. Tomac to the outside. He switched up his line there.
They're going to come together. There's only one line up this hill. No, Tomac's going to invent a new one. He goes from outside to inside. They come together.
Contact.
Roczen able to hold him off. Tomac on the outside again, wide open through these ruts.
He might have him now. They're side by side, different lines. Roczen's got the shorter line. Tomac takes a long way around. White flag, 1 lap to go.
It's heart, guts, will. At this point, these guys got to be exhausted. Heart rate's through the roof, but the fans are cheering him on. Tomac has yet to win a moto this year. If he wins this moto, he also takes the weekend's overall. But perhaps bigger than that, this would be huge momentum in the championship if he can take it away from Roczen in a straight-up fight.
You've got to give credit to Roczen, though. He is really dealing with this intense pressure quite well. Tomac has thrown everything at him, and Roczen just keeps responding.
The 120-foot uphill triple, they both negotiated perfectly. Now a tight corner, and this section right here is going to get tricky. There's 2 lap riders ahead of them. Tomac in the inside.
That corner, unfortunately, becomes 1 line. This section here, I think Tomac's been able to improve a little bit, which means he's not losing ground to Roczen, but he is stronger, I think, in these last few turns. Is he going to have a chance?
Well, he used this inside, and this right-hander coming up. He's on the inside again! Oh. He runs it in deep! Oh, couldn't get a clean exit.
He made a mistake. He was fully committed to that one, Jason. He knows time's running out. He's given it everything. It was at his last chance. More lap traffic coming up. Is this going to play a factor? Oh! One of the lappers almost got cross-rutted, thought he might have jumped across Roczen. He's trying to get out of the way.
We've seen a couple times here at Muddy Creek, those 2 or 3 corners leading to the finish. Passes being made there, so Tomac has that potentially as a last chance. Past the Fran Mechanics area. They're going to work their way uphill, and then it's a series of right-hand corners that'll lead them to the finish.
He's got to get a little closer. There's too much of a distance. Hopefully the lapper gets out of the way. Tomac goes up the inside.
Lapper did, he saw Tomac. He's got to be closer than this, though. This is the final stretch. Here are those right-hand turns I was talking about. Does Roczen have him covered?
He's protecting that inside. Smart move. Make your competitor go the long way around. He's not close enough. It's Tomac.
Under pressure in both motos, Ken Roczen sweeps it, goes 1-1 at Muddy Creek, and shows once again why he's the championship points leader. He's won all but 1 moto, 9 out of 10 this year. That was the closest challenge he had down to a checkered flag this season, but despite the big points lead, he doesn't care about that. He wants to win every time he's on the track.
Winners want to win no matter what, and that was a winning performance right there under huge pressure from Eli Tomac. Hats off to these guys. They put on a great show. That was exciting to watch.
Absolutely. We were wondering who was going to step up. In the absence of Dungey, it's Eli Tomac. He gave Roczen all he could handle.
You can see it by his facial expressions as well. That was a hard fought, both physically and mentally. But Tomac going in the right direction.
These guys have been duking it out actually since they were kids. Roczen used to come to the United States and run some amateur races, and they used to battle it out. They're pretty friendly with each other off the track, but they're the 2 guys that want to win these races the most. Let's send it to Georgia.
Yes, Ken Roczen is just cooling off slightly right now, getting the cool water on him. It is definitely some hot conditions out there. I'll let him just get comfortable for a moment, but that was one of the most unbelievable motos of the year so far. Great racing, and Ken Roczen, I know you're hot and this weather's crazy, but you responded when you needed to, and that was the most important thing. That was a crazy race, but you did respond. How do you feel?
I feel good. You know, this is the way you want to win a race. I mean, he was pushing in the last couple laps, and it's all about how bad you want it, and got away with another 1-1, so I can't complain. It's definitely a lot hotter here today as it was in the previous days, so weekends. So starting Jimmy Jatsugi worked great today, and we're going to keep charging.
All right, that was the first time we've really seen Eli Tomac battle with you. What are you going to do next week to make sure you stay on the game?
I'm just going to do my thing, keep doing what I've been doing the whole time. Seems to work. And both of my starts weren't the greatest, but second start I could, you know, get good in the first turn. And overall, though, I'm super happy. 1-1.
Well, congratulations to Ken Roczen. We know that a routine is a big part of why he wins these races, so we'll let him carry on.
Well, he logs a lot of motos and training sessions down in the heat and humidity of Florida to prepare for races like this. He was under fire, and he was cool under that pressure. Let's check in with Eli Tomac, who's with Georgia Lindsay.
Yes, thank you, Eli, for an absolutely amazing race to watch. Now, that was the first time we've seen you from the beginning battle with Ken Roczen. He did finish with the win, but you were so close. What was going on?
I mean, we were both just in the zone. That's all you can really say about it. We were both nailing all of our lines and clicking our laps off. In the middle of the race, he was a little ways ahead of me, you know, and kind of got out of touch. Brought him back a little bit at the end, but he rode pretty flawless. And man, he was in front of me right away, and he got me. You know, Ken's riding pretty awesome right now. So we'll keep working. We're getting closer. Thanks to Monster Energy Kawasaki. We'll be back next week and fight another day.
Now, this is the first time, like I said, we've seen you both so close. Does it give you more of an idea of how Ken Roczen is riding because you are so close behind him?
Yeah, I mean that was cool to be there. You know, I felt like out here we were taking a few different lines from each other, so that was kind of cool to see. You know, and we were both fast. We both had our good areas for sure, where he would get me and then I would get him a little bit. But man, I want to be the guy crossing that line first next week.
Well, thank you. Congratulations on second overall, and best of luck next weekend.
The all-new Geomax MX34 is the latest result of Dunlop's ongoing development with the help of top motocross pros. The all-new Geomax MX34 is the new industry standard for soft to intermediate terrain. Experience the advantage